you this is the lesson for 10-1, and we are going to jump right into it. Normally we do this in our notebooks, but we are instead going to be doing this right in your book. So we are on page 525, 10-1, and the first thing we're going to talk about, chapter 10, is doing frequency distributions. We're going to interpret them. So first, in order to do a frequency distribution, we have to know what categorical data is.
Categorical data is data that can be put into, guess what? Categories. Into categories. So raise your hand if you can think of a category, a type of a category. So what is a category? An example of a category. Like what would you say?
Is right. No.
Types of music. Very good. What else?
Types of food.
Types of food. Good.
Types of clothing.
Types of clothing.
Types of people.
Colors, gender, types of people. Like there's all sorts of categories that you can have. And the idea is that you can't really put numbers on it. Like it's non-numerical data. So which one does that fit? Which one of these is, yep, 3. Good, so this is 3, A is 3, and 3 is A. Good. Next one is a two-way frequency table. A two-way frequency is a way to display that categorical data, and by representing the number of occurrences that fall into each group of 2 variables. Which one does that go with? Yes, so it goes 3, 4, and then 4 goes with, 3, then 4, and then A, then B. Okay, next one is a frequency distribution. A frequency distribution is, and I'd have to double check on this. So a frequency distribution displays the frequencies for categorical data in a two-way table.
2.
Yeah, good. And then this is C.
And then D is 5.
D is indeed 5. And then what's the last one?
E is 1.
1E. So E-cabd is what it spells out. So now this is what we're going to do. These things look kind of confusing. And I will give you 2 main tips that I would use when doing this. Tip number 1. So this is what they're doing. We're going to do one together. You can look at the last one, but we'll start one together. Oh no, we'll just do this so that it'll be a faster video. This is all one table. They just couldn't put it in one thing, so they put half of it here and half of it there. So what you're going to be doing, tip number 1, you're going to use your finger and keep it there. Hold it there until you've recorded it. So class A read, and then you would make a tally mark. So that's tip 1, use your finger. Tip 2, mark off the one that you've done. Especially if you have a tendency to get distracted, then this is a really important thing for you to do. In other words, I really need to do this. So then A blue, mark it, check it. B red, mark it, check it. Does that make sense? Here's a little reminder. What happens if I had 4 tally marks and I want to mark the 5th one? What do I do?
You cross.
Cross diagonally. Very good. All right, so you're going to do tally marks. Any questions on how to make tally marks?
Nope.
Okay, next part of this is then you take these numbers and you write them in the table below. So since there were 4 here, they put 4. There's 1 there, they put 1. Guess how they got this 5?
They added.
Yeah, so you're going to add 2 ways. You're going to add down
And across.
and across. So you're going to add down and you're going to add across. So all of them going across will add up to the one on the side, and all of them down will add. That's all you do. So like with this one, so class, so then you're going to put like 11th grade right here, and then the other one is 12th grade. And then the favorite sport, we have football, baseball, basketball. And then you make tally marks. And again, use your finger. So 11th grade football, make a tally mark, check it off. 11th grade baseball, make a tally mark, check it off, and keep on going. Then you're going to put the totals down here. And that's what you have to do for the first half. Any questions on the first half? Okay. I'm not going to give you time during the video because I want to be able to go on to the next part. So here we go. Next part. It's really not too bad. So before we do this part, I want you to notice the 2 tables on number 7 and 8. What do you notice, Blessy? What do you notice about these 2 tables?
They're the same table.
They're the exact same table. Now, look at the graphs. What is different about the graphs? Raise your hand if you can notice something different about these graphs. I mean, obviously one of them's done, but other than that, what do you notice?
They're labeled different.
They're labeled different. So they both say number of students on the side, and they both say favorite color of students, like the student's favorite color.
So everything's the same, but notice down here this says class A, class B, and on the other one it says red, blue, purple, green. And it's all from the same data. So if they're doing class A, basically, so see how these graphs, these bar graphs, so red was 5, they went up to 5, and then they don't have, the book just has one color. So they did dots, and then they did vertical stripes, and smaller dots, and horizontal stripes. You might have colored pencils. This might be a fun lesson for you to use colored pencils for. Or you can use any other type of shape or design inside the box for that one. Does that make sense? So all of them that are going to be red are going to have that one. So we went up to 5, and then notice that it connects to the next one. So blue goes to 7, purple goes to 3, green goes to 1. Any questions on how to do this? So let's do this one together really fast. So you're going to have to, how many different things am I going to have for this one? If all the colors are down here. Just going to have 2. One for class A and one for class B. So class A and class B. You can be really not creative and then just say like one of them is going to be like diagonal stripes are almost filled in and the other one's blank. I'm just going to keep it simple like that and do it like that. So red. Red class A was 5. So I'm going to go up to 5, make a rectangle, go back down, and then that was the one I was filling in. And the next one, class B, was 6, so I go up to 6. And then I'm just going to leave it blank because that's what I said I was going to do. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So then you do it for blue. Blue class A was 7. And then blue class B is 5. And then purple class A is 3. And purple class B is 5. And then green class A is 1. And green class B is 2. Just like that. Any questions? No. Okay. That's the end of
So the
10.
homework is in each one of these sections. This can count as one of the problems. You need to do 2 more of these. So like 2 more of these and 3 of these. Okay? So you have a whopping 5 problems for homework for 10-1. Okay, then 10-2. So here's 10-2. We're going to just put a smiley face here because I don't want to do that. And it's important, but not right now. It'll make more sense later. Okay, I want you just to notice things about the difference between this table and that table. What did they do? What did they do? Like where, yeah, what did they do? What would you say they did?
Maybe, so they took the pot for class A, like the first one, and then they divided it by the total.
Which total? The total, so total?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's all you do. You divide, so you have to put the fraction and the decimal, and that's all you do for this whole lesson.
That's so easy.
For the first part. Does that make sense? So that's all you're going to do. You need to round out 3 decimal places. Just watch your rounding, and that's really as hard as it gets. So let's just start number 2. What are you going to divide by on number 2?
108.
108. So this is going to be 7 over 108. This will be 11 over 108. This is 12 over 108. This is 30 over 108. And then you have to round. So that's one thing. So let me give you some hints. Notice that there's a 12 here and a 12 here. Are they going to be the same number? In fact, there's another 12 somewhere right here. There are 3 12s. They're going to have the same number. So rather than doing it every time, there's that. If you want to streamline how you do them so that you don't have to push as many buttons, you could be kind of fancy. Do you want to see a little bit fancy way of doing this?
Sure.
Okay, this is a little bit fancy. Is you go into your calculator, go into your y equals, and you put x divided by whatever your total was there. And then do you guys see table right there? How are you going to get into table? So second graph to get into table, and then here are all the decimal numbers right there. So like there's 12 right there, so you can just write that again. Or if I needed 33, I could go down, see there's 33 here. So on my graph, I could just arrow down on the x's to 33. Does this make sense? Really cool, huh? Because the calculator kind of does it for you. So again, that equation was just x divided by whatever the total was. Got it? Okay. Next part of this is a different kind of graph that we haven't done before. It's called a stacked bar graph. And then they kind of make it really weird. See how these are like 0.123 and 0.098 and 0.0196 and 0.067? You're going to be graphing those, and you're going to stack the categories that you graph, which I think just seems really weird. So let me explain what I do to make it less weird. So first, do you see how all these have 3 digits? I talk about these 3 digits like I talk about that first one like it's just plain 123. And then what number would this one be right there? 98, and that one's 110. And then the next thing I do is I add zeros over here onto these so I can know that those are the hundreds. And then I kind of just ignore the decimal places because I think it's a lot easier to graph in hundreds than thinking of like the decimal places. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is I want you to notice this goes across the top on the table: skiing, tubing, sledding, skating. So when we're stacking this thing, it goes skiing, tubing, sledding, skating. Skiing, tubing, sledding, skating. Does that make sense? So it just follows, this stacks on this, which stacks on this. So the first stack on this one went to 123. Do you see how this line right there is about at 123?
Sure.
Because there's 100, there's 200, so that's 150, and halfway between is about 123. And then they added 98 more onto that. So this is what I would do. I would do 123 plus 98. And that would get me 221. So the next, right, is that right? Did I add correctly? I did. So then, no, just kidding. What did I do? No, that was it. Okay, yeah, so you do 221. So this next line is at 221. And then I'm going to add 196 onto that. And so then I would have 7, and then there's 11. So then I would have 417. So this line right here is at 417. And then the top line is going to go to 485, which it did. Does that kind of make sense?
Yep.
Let's do number 9 together. And then this is the end of the lesson. So number 9 says we're going to, so the first one, so we have 11th grade and 12th grade. What are our categories going to have to be?
Comedy.
So we're going to have one for comedy. Drama, horror. Okay, so we only have those 3. So now we just need to come up with different like symbol things for those. So comedy, and I just want to make it easy and fast. You can do like smiley faces if you want to, but that's not very easy and fast. Drama, maybe vertical lines. And then horror is black, right? Double in or something like that. Okay. So the first one, 11th grade. So these we're going to stack on top of each other, and it doesn't really matter how wide they are. So this first one, I'm just going to make it like from here to here. So we're going to go up to, I'm going to add the zeros onto here. And then I'm just going to look at the hundreds. Do you guys see what I mean by looking at just the hundreds? So what is the first one? What am I going to go up to on the first one? So 256. So if this is 200 and that's 400, this right here is 300. And then this right here would be 250. So 256 is a little bit above there. So it's going to be about like that. And this one was comedy. So then it's like the diagonal squigglies. And then I'm going to take my 256 and I'm going to add what onto it? Just 91, right? So 6 plus 1 is 7, 9 plus 5 is 14. So we're going to go up to 347 is the next line. So if that's 300, that's 400. 347 is a little bit under 350. And then that one was drama, so vertical lines. And then I'm going to add, I could add 165 onto it, or I can just go up to the top total, which is 512, which is about like right there-ish. And then horror for me was this, the filled in, so diagonal this way and diagonals that way. And then you just do the other one. Got it? So this lesson, these 2 lessons, you have to make tally marks. You have to add, you have to draw rectangles, and you have to divide. And that's basically the entire lesson. And that's it for 2 lessons. Cool, huh? Your homework, both sections, is to do 3 from each part. So you need to do 2 more of these and then 3 of these things.